I think art is like something that is so core to being human. Like it's how we make sense of things as an individual. And we can't pretend we know the reason for being here. Everyone's a bit lost, everyone's got their own like kind of origin story, everyone's got different belief systems. My name's Deanio X, I'm a visual artist. My work pertains to migration, culture, the idea of where people come from and where we're going, how we get there together, and keeping an eye on the people who get left out of that vision. I remember when I was younger, I would always stare at people. And I remember like my sister, she used to take me home from school, go on the bus together, and she'd turn around and she'd like, stop staring at that man. But I couldn't help it, I'd always stare. Eventually you're told that, staring these things is, you don't do it, it's not what you're supposed to do. There's no real answer, there's no real reason why. So you're kind of taught to like just go against your own instincts. When I was sketching across London on the tube, I'd just bring my sketchbook anywhere and just sketch something of interest. It was like this idea of like, I want to get back into creating, so I need to be present in my immediate surroundings. I need to be able to stare and, attempt to understand something that maybe I don't have a connection to. Society is like it blends everyone together, and it prevents us from seeing, who people are as individuals, what people enjoy, what stimulates them. People could do more to acknowledge, things about the society in which they live, and also where maybe some of the advantages that they enjoy, where those advantages come from historically. I came out of uni with like a literature degree and all this kind of knowledge about power and conflict. I thought, how do I turn to something where I can express myself, talk about the things that I understand and share some learnings, have conversations. So then, that was me stepping back into illustration, visual art, and using that as a way to communicate. My work's always very personal to me. I come from a migrant background, and in the course of that history, there's been a lot of injustice, deception, and a lot of lying. When I see boats, when I see brown faces crossing the ocean to get to security, that reminds me of the people that made the journey on the Windrush. It reminds me of people who were forced into slave boats. It's all movement of people. If you can connect these images and you can connect that history, you can teach people a history that they're not taught at school. So that's why in doing things like that street piece in Lewisham, I thought it was important to focus on the Windrush. I did a lot of drawing whilst I was in Calais, and I had these life drawings of my experiences there. All those kind of visuals still kind of come out in the work. The faces that I draw come from Calais when I was doing life drawing. Whether you was there as a refugee or you was there as a volunteer, or you was there to, for whatever reason that I try to understand, everyone was kind of lost in a sense. Everyone was kind of looking for some kind of answer. So when you find people in that position and you start working together, and it's like you're kind of like somehow like making a solution, like, whether it's a short term or, a very basic solution, it just feels like you're contributing towards something, and then you kind of find yourself in that kind of experience. I think the illustrations, it kind of keeps it alive, and it kind of keeps me in tune with like, what the mission should be, or what the goal should be. What I realise is that, in doing the actual work, it helps me process a lot of things, and it helps me kind of express or vent a lot of frustration that maybe I wouldn't have room to do. I didn't necessarily have access to, the best tools, or even like the best understanding of like, what quality art materials were. Because I didn't go to art school, so it was all very much like learning through experience, trial and error. Then also like, not having much money, so you're just using like, whatever I had, whether someone lent me something, and then, I'd exhaust that, and then, slowly building things, building like an inventory. You learn to be resourceful, and then you learn how to like use space effectively. You learn how to like find the value of things. You start seeing like nature as like a resource. And literally you can grab a branch of a tree, dip it in a pot of ink, and that's a pen. Just being resourceful, whatever I have, that's what I have to use. If I don't have it, then I can't use it. Maybe one day I acquire it, but it's more about what I have within reach, and learning how to use that to its best means, to its best use.